Today, we shall discuss the 100 most important terms that a student of linguistics should know. 100 most important terms of linguistics and their definitions.
1. Linguistics, the scientific study of language and its structure. 2. Language, a systematic, rule-governed medium of communication using arbitrary symbols, sounds, signs, or written characters. 3. Grammar, the complete system of rules governing the structure and inherent laws of a language. 4. Descriptivism, an approach to linguistics that analyzes and describes how language is actually spoken by its users without passing judgment. 5. Prescriptivism, an approach that lays down rigid rules about how language should or ought to be used. 6. Competence, by Chomsky, a speaker's internalized, subconscious knowledge of their native language's rules. 7. Performance, by Chomsky, the actual, real-time production and use of language, which can be affected by fatigue, distractions, or memory slips. 8. Lang, by Saussure, the abstract, systematic, and shared social concrete structure of a language system. 9. Parole, by Saussure, the individual, concrete acts of speaking or writing in real-world contexts. 10. Arbitrariness, the linguistic principle that there is no natural or inherent connection between a word's form, sound sign, and its actual meaning. 11. Displacement, the unique human capacity to communicate about things, events, and ideas that are not present in the immediate time or space. 12. Productivity creativity, the capacity to generate an infinite number of novel sentences using a finite set of rules and symbols. 13. Duality of patterning, a design feature of language where a small set of meaningless units, sounds, combine to form a vast number of meaningful units, words. 14. Phonetics, the study of the physical characteristics of human speech sounds, focusing on their production, transmission, and perception. 15. Articulative phonetics, the subfield that examines how speech sounds are physically produced by the vocal tract and articulators. 16. Acoustic phonetics, the subfield that measures the physical properties of sound waves generated during speech, frequency, amplitude, duration. 17. Auditory phonetics, the study of how speech sounds are perceived, processed, and recognized by the human ear and brain. 18. International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, a standardized, universal system of phonetic notation designed to represent every distinct sound across all human languages. 19. Voicing, the acoustic quality produced when the vocal folds in the larynx vibrate during the articulation of a sound. 20. Place of articulation, the specific anatomical location within the vocal tract where the airflow is obstructed to create a sound, example, bilabial, alveolar, velar. 21. Manner of articulation, the way in which the airflow is obstructed or modified as it passes through the vocal tract, example, plosive, fricative, nasal. 22. Aspiration, a strong burst or puff of air that accompanies the release of certain voiceless stop consonants like the P in pen. 23. Consonant, a speech sound produced with a partial or complete closure or constriction of the vocal tract. 24. Vowel, a continuous speech sound produced without any significant obstruction or constriction in the vocal tract. 25. Diphthong, a complex vowel sound where the tongue glides smoothly from one vowel position to another within a single syllable, example, the sound in bite or boy. 26. Phonology, the study of how speech sounds are systematically organized, structured, and utilized to create meaning within a specific language. 27. Phoneme, the smallest abstract unit of sound in a language that can distinguish one word from another, example, changing P to be turned spat into bat. 28. Allophone, a phonetic variant of a single phoneme that appears in specific environments but does not change the word's meaning, example, the aspirated P in pin verses. The unaspirated P in spin. 29. Minimal pair. Two words that differ by only one single sound in the exact same position, proving that those two sounds are distinct phonemes. Example, cat and bat. 30. Complementary distribution. The predictable distribution of allophones, where variants of a phoneme never occur in the same phonetic environment. 31. Free variation. A situation where two different sounds can be used interchangeably in the same word position without altering the meaning. 32. Syllable. A unit of organization for a sequence of speech sounds, typically consisting of a single vowel nucleus surrounded by optional consonant margins. Phonotactics. The specific structural rules that dictate which sound combinations are permissible or forbidden in a particular language. 33. Assimilation. A phonological process where a sound changes its properties to become more similar to a neighboring sound. Example, input sounding like input. 34. Dissimilation. A process where two close or adjacent sounds become less similar to make them easier to pronounce or distinguish. 35. Elision. The omission or deletion of a sound, a vowel or consonant during rapid, natural speech. Example, pronouncing camera as camera. 36. Intonation. The melodic pattern of rising and falling pitch across phrases and sentences that conveys grammatical or emotional meaning. 37. Suprasegmentals prosody. Phonetic and phonological features like pitch, stress, tone, and duration that extend over more than one individual sound segment. 38. Morphology. The study of the internal structure, formation, and variation of words. 39. Morpheme. The smallest meaningful or grammatical unit in a language that cannot be broken down any further. 40. Free morpheme. A morpheme that can stand alone as an independent, fully functioning word. Example, cat, run, happy. 41. Allomorph. A variation of a single morpheme that alters its sound based on its environment without changing its meaning. Example, the plural suffix realized as s in cats, z in dogs, and z in buses. 42. Root. The primary, non-divisible core of a word that carries the fundamental lexical meaning before any affixes are added. 43. Stem. The base form of a word to which inflectional affixes are attached. 44. Affix. A bound morpheme added to a root or stem to modify its meaning or structural function includes prefixes, suffixes, infixes, and circumfixes. 45. Derivation. A morphological process that builds new words by adding an affix, often changing the grammatical category or meaning. Example, turning the verb bake into the noun baker. 46. Inflection. A process that modifies a word form to signal grammatical relationships like tense, number, or case, without altering its core meaning or word class. Example, cat to cats, walk to walked. 47. Compounding. A word formation process that joins two or more independent, free morphemes together to create a single new word. Example, sunflower, blackboard. 48. Lexeme. An abstract vocabulary item in the mental dictionary that encompasses all its inflected forms. Example, go, goes, went, and going are all part of the lexeme go. 49. Syntax. The study of the rules, principles, and processes that govern how words combine to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. 50. Phrase. A constituent group of words centered around a head word that functions as a single grammatical unit within a sentence. Example, a noun phrase like the big dog. 51. Clause. A structural unit containing at least a subject and a predicate verb phrase, which may form a complete sentence or act as part of one. 52. Constituent. A word or string of words that acts as a unified structural block within a larger hierarchical sentence structure. 53. Generative grammar. A structural framework proposing that human language capacity is governed by an innate system of rules capable of generating all permissible sentences in a language. 54. Deep structure. Chomsky, the underlying abstract syntactic representation that captures the core semantic meaning and relationships of a sentence. 55. Surface structure. Chomsky, the final actual linear arrangement of words as they are spoken, written, or produced. 56. Universal grammar. UG and innate. Biologically determined framework of grammatical principles shared by all human beings, facilitating language acquisition. 57. Recursion. The linguistic property that allows a structural component to be nested inside another component of the exact same type, allowing for potentially infinite sentence length. 58. Argument structure. The specific pattern of mandatory structural participants, arguments, required by a particular verb to complete its meaning. Example. A transitive verb requires a subject and a direct object. 59. Semantics. The systematic study of literal meaning in words, phrases, and sentences. 60. Denotation. The literal, objective, and dictionary definition of a word, independent of personal emotion or cultural context. 61. Connotation. The emotional, cultural, or situational associations and overtones that attach to a word beyond its literal definition. 62. Lexical semantics. The subfield concerned with individual word meanings and the structural relationships between them. 63. Synonymy. A semantic relationship where two or more distinct words share highly similar or identical literal meanings. Example, huge and enormous. 64. Antonymy. A semantic relationship where two words express opposing meanings. Example, hot and cold. 65. Polysemy. A scenario where a single word form carries multiple distinct but historically or conceptually related meanings. Example, the foot of a person versus the foot of a mountain. 66. Homonymy. A scenario where two unrelated words happen to share the exact same spelling or pronunciation but carry entirely distinct meanings. Example, financial bank versus riverbank. 67. Hyponymy. A hierarchical relationship where a specific word, hyponym, belongs to a broader, general category word, hypernym. Example, rose is a hyponym of flower. 68. Compositionality. Freud's principle. The principle that the total meaning of a complex expression is determined by the meanings of its individual parts and the rules used to combine them. 69. Pragmatics. The study of language use in context, focusing on how listeners recover intended speaker meaning that is not explicitly stated. 70. Deixis. Words or expressions whose meanings depend entirely on the immediate physical or situational context of the utterance. Example, here, there, now, you. 71. Speech act. An utterance considered as a functional action that accomplishes an objective. Example, promising, apologizing, threatening, commanding. 72. Elocutionary force. The intended functional effect or purpose behind a speaker's speech act. Example, an utterance meant as a subtle warning. 73. Comparative principle. By Paul Grice, the foundational assumption that participants in a conversation naturally cooperate with each other by following certain communicative maxims. Grician maxims. The 4 conversational guidelines that ensure effective communication. Quantity, be informative. Quality, be truthful. Relation, be relevant. And manner, be clear. 74. Implicature and additional. Implied meaning conveyed indirectly by a speaker that a listener infers by drawing on context and context rules. 75. Discourse analysis. The study of language structures and patterns that extend beyond individual sentence boundaries into larger texts, conversations, or dialogues. 76. Cohesion. The explicit grammatical or lexical elements that visibly connect sentences or phrases to one another throughout a text. Example, pronouns, conjunctions. 77. Coherence. The underlying semantic, logical, and conceptual framework that makes a larger text or conversation make sense to a reader or listener. 78 Sociolinguistics, the study of the complex relationships between language variation and social factors like class, ethnicity, gender, age, and geography. 79 Dialect, a distinct variety of a language spoken by a specific geographic or social group, characterized by unique vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. 80 Accent, the distinctive manner of pronunciation characteristic of a specific geographic region or social background. 81 Idiolect, the unique, highly individualized speech habits, vocabulary, and linguistic patterns of a single person. 82 Sociolect, a distinct language variety associated with a specific social class or socioeconomic group. 83 Register, a functional language style or variation adapted to a specific social context, profession, or level of formality. Example: formal legal language versus casual speech. 84 Slang, casual, informal words and phrases that change rapidly and are typically used within specific social or generational subgroups. 85 Jargon, specialized, technical vocabulary employed by professional, academic, or interest group that can be obscure to outsiders. 86 Isogloss, a geographic boundary line mapped onto a region to mark the outermost limit of a particular linguistic feature or dialectal trait. 87 Diglossia, a sociolinguistic situation where two distinct varieties of the same language exist side by side in a community, each used for separate social functions. Example: a high variety for education government and a low variety for daily life. 88 Code switching, the alternate use of two or more languages or distinct language varieties within a single conversation or utterance. 89 Pidgin, a simplified, makeshift contact language created out of necessity for basic communication between groups who do not share a common language. 90 Creole, a fully developed, complex language that evolved from a pidgin and has become adopted as the primary native language of a new generation of speakers. 91 Lingua franca, a shared language adopted for communication between people whose native languages are different. Example: English used in international business. 92 Psycholinguistics, the study of the psychological and cognitive processes involved in how humans acquire, produce, comprehend, and store language. 93 Neurolinguistics, the study of the physical neural mechanisms and structures in the human brain that control language processing and comprehension. 94 Language Acquisition Device, LAD, Chomsky, a theoretical, innate neurocognitive mechanism that provides humans with the capacity to rapidly learn language during childhood. 95 Critical Period Hypothesis, the theory that there is a biologically determined biological window in early childhood during which human language must be acquired. After this period, native fluency is significantly more difficult to achieve. 96 Mental Lexicon, the internal, cognitive dictionary stored in a speaker's long-term memory containing all known words, meanings, pronunciation, and grammatical traits. 97 Aphasia, an acquired language impairment or disorder caused by physical brain damage, resulting in deficits in speech production, comprehension, reading, or writing. 98 Compounding, joining two or more independent, full words together to form a completely new word with a single, unified meaning. Example: notebook, combining the distinct words note and book. 99 Blending, fusing parts of two different words together, usually the beginning of one word and the end of another, so that their sounds and meanings merge. Example: smog, blending the words smoke and fog. 100 Clipping, shortening a polysyllabic word, a word with multiple syllables, by cutting off some of its syllables, while keeping the exact same meaning and grammatical role. Example: gym, clipped from gymnasium.